When using Nintex forms in Nintex Workflow Cloud, sometimes you'll have to have a form operate differently or collect in information based on a yes, no, true, false, or Boolean type value. And so to collect information on that, what you want to use is the yes, no control. And in this form that we already have on the Forms Designer screen, you'll see on the left-hand side a yes-no control. So take that, you can simply just drag and drop that on your designer canvas wherever needed. And once you place that on the designer canvas, you can feel free to make some edits to the control. And so as it looks like right now, it says yes/no 1, and what that is that is the actual title of the control. So we can make that say something like discount, and then have a question mark by it. And we can say, yes, I want to show the title for it. If you want to add a description to this, you can do that too. So you can say, request a discount, and then you have your checkbox over here. Now you can add a tooltip too if you want, so if you hover over the control it can give you additional information. And you don't have to just have this as a checkbox, you can actually make this a toggle if required. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that if this value is yes or no, well, I want to do something with it. And there's a couple things you can do. You can actually use the information here, such as yes or no, true or false, how it's captured, and store that in a variable. And that variable by default will be the title that you've applied to that control. As you can see, the title here is discount with a question mark. The variable name is discount with a question mark. Next to that variable, though, is this auto-generate checkbox. And what that means is I want you to auto-generate the name of this variable for use within our workflow. If we want the yes or no value from it and then dictate how the workflow logic is going to pan out. Now, if I don't want to use discount question mark here and I want to use something else because maybe I have my own naming convention for my variables, I can uncheck that auto generated and do something like, YN, yes, no, and then discount. And then that would be the variable name used going forward. But what if I want to use that yes no checkbox to control how the form operates itself at runtime? So when it's actually the end users using the form and they're placing information in the form itself. Well, I can use this to make sure that things are required or things are visible within a form. And so, for example, I have another yes/no checkbox here called send email. And in this designer form, you can see I've got this email field here too. Now, what I can do is I can actually use this control and the yes/no values from it to guide how the form will render based on what's selected. And to take a look at how that's done, what we're using is rules. And so we use a rule at form loads, basically saying when the form loads, email visible no. And then based on input, over here we've got two rules. The first one is saying send email, that checkbox. If it's no, then the email input is not visible. In the inverse of that, though, we're saying when the send email checkbox is yes or true, then we want the email input to be visible yes. So that's how we set up the rules on load. So let's take a look at how this form actually renders. So this is what the form would appear like if it first rendered for the end user. You'll notice that the send email input is not here. However, if I check this send email box, automatically the send email input appears. And if I uncheck that, we'll hide it one more time. And that allows you to build a dynamic form and change how it operates depending on what options are selected on the form. In this instance, we're using a yes/no checkbox, which would be true or false, or yes or no, and how it comes out. Or if we want to take the yes/no values from here and use that within a workflow, well, that's where our discount here toggle, or it could even be a checkbox like above. We can take the true value that we've collected there as it would be stored in a start variable, and then use that to help guide how the workflow would progress. And so that allows you to use the yes/no checkbox either in a toggle or checkbox in your forms to help collect true or false values or yes/no values within your forms.